Everybody, hello. Welcome to Freedom Friday. That's what my friend Erica calls it. She calls it Freedom Friday. This is officially the 10K Project. We are the nation's largest community of small dollar investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. And today's conversation is all about what every entrepreneur needs to know in order to succeed. So we hope everyone is doing well today. We are officially streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. There we go. Yes, there we go. Hope you are well. Okay. Again, just getting myself together here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Just kidding. All righty then. So, what every entrepreneur needs to succeed. We are supposed to have a guest on today. We'll see if she arrives, but if not, I can throw in my 2 cents with regards to this conversation. So again, we hope you're doing well. I'm going to actually come here and our guest is here today. So,
hello.
Hi, Dr. Danetta. How are you today?
I am doing great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So it's just the two of us today, but we are streaming live. There are a couple of people watching on YouTube and Facebook, and others will come as they see the live stream. We're going to go for about 30 minutes today, but just talking overall about the work that you're doing at your mastermind group and, business models and all sorts of stuff like that. So let me make sure I'm recording as well. So hello, everybody. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, want to welcome you. We are the 10K Project. We are the largest community of small dollar investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. And if 10,000 of us came together, put in small amounts of money, we can raise $1 million or more for our businesses. We don't have to go to the banks. We don't have to go and beg VCs who are hardly giving us any money. We can start funding our own businesses. We can profit from our own innovation. We can create jobs and we can work together to build Black wealth. So every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we invite a Black entrepreneur to come and pitch our community with their investment. And this is called a Bet on Black pitch. So the entrepreneur comes, they talk about their business, they talk about, what they're raising money for. Also, and then you get to engage with the entrepreneur, ask them questions, and then each individual gets to decide if they want to invest in that company. And if you do, great. Minimum investments are usually $100. Sometimes they're a little bit more. They're set by the entrepreneur, but they're all small dollar investments. And we've been doing it now for the past couple of months, and all of them have thus far been successful. We've had some great entrepreneurs coming through. So this is officially Freedom Friday, as a woman named Erica Williams calls it. So I won't take take, credit for that, but every Friday we talk about entrepreneurship, and we have Dr. Danetta Wilson here. She has an amazing background. She is known as the launch strategist. So that's why we call this launch strategist, what every entrepreneur needs to succeed. But she helps people who are launching their businesses as well as people who are growing their businesses. And she has worked in government. She's managed $1.5 million concurrently, over 200 field and staff supervisory staff. And she works with an organization called the National Black Mastermind Group that educates, trains, coaches, mentors, and develops Black entrepreneurs to create sustainable business models. They also provide funding to start, stabilize, sustain, and scale your business. Everybody put a virtual hand clap together for Dr. Danetta Watson. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for inviting me today, and had a little trouble logging in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get in on time. So I'm grateful for being here today. I love what you all do, and definitely need more of this in our community. And we want to invite you to collaborate with us in our community. So we definitely will be talking. We talked once earlier to one of the people on your team, and now we're ready to talk again because we have a process in place that we want to share more about. And our ultimate goal for everyone that we work with is for them to be able to have a fundable business model. And funding comes in many different ways. And we traditionally think that funding is only going to the bank. But statistics, I was a previous management statistician, like you said, so I'm a numbers girl. Yeah. And so statistics have proven that 83% of the Black entrepreneurial community have not and cannot access capital. And just finished class a few minutes ago. We teach bootcamp class every Friday and Saturday morning to Black entrepreneurs in how to create a fundable business model. We call it running business by the numbers. And that's what gets a business funded in a traditional format. And yet we also teach about the non-traditional ways an entrepreneur can have access to capital. So we are looking at every opportunity. So we want to make sure we collaborate with your organization and send our entrepreneurs who complete our program to you. But we feel it is extremely important that Black entrepreneurs know business at a level that our counterparts are understanding business. That's the separator between us and how we run our businesses and how we are able to or not able to access capital, and whether or not we have a sustainable, viable business entity. And that lack of education is the only thing that's destroying us in business, is our lack of knowledge of business principles and practices that everyone else uses in their day-to-day operations. But unfortunately, this information has not made it to our community of entrepreneurs. And we are very fortunate that here in the state of Kansas, where I'm from, that we have organizations that are also committed to growing Black entrepreneurs, especially as a result of COVID. And many people don't know, as a previous statistician, I have to look at the numbers quite differently. So when the media purports that 41% of Black businesses closed at the end of Q2, we know those numbers are not accurate. As a statistician, there are monthly data collection points throughout the nation on just about anything in our economy. So for those numbers to be from June and July of 2020, Q2, we know they're not accurate. So if we were to take those numbers, prior to COVID, there were 2.4 to, you would hear reporting between 2.4 to 2.7 Black businesses in the marketplace.
Million.
Yes. Million businesses. And so if 41% of that 2.4 million, we put the minimum number, 2.4 million, if 41% of those businesses closed, that's 1,100,000 Black businesses. closed their doors permanently as a result of COVID. Now, those numbers came from the end of quarter 1 statistics. Quarter 2, June and July, those numbers were reported. So I know from being a statistician that ran economic studies for the government, those numbers are not accurate. I wholeheartedly believe we're in the 55, 60 percentile range of businesses that have closed, because when anything happens to other communities, it always happens to us worse. There were 90 million white businesses in the market, and only 17% of their businesses closed.
Can
41
you believe
of ours.
that some of the 60% that you believe closed were just people who should have closed their businesses pre-COVID anyway, because it wasn't, it wasn't something that was working anyway, and COVID just accelerated a lot of closings?
I think across the board, that is what happened too, because there's 23% of Hispanics businesses closed, 41% or more of Black businesses. If 41%, almost half of our businesses closed, that's scary in itself. That we had that many Black entrepreneurs in the marketplace, undercapitalized, underfunded, and bootstrapping revenues to the point it was detrimental to their business. That's a lack of knowledge problem. That's not a funding problem. That's not an access to capital problem. That's a lack of knowledge on how to run a business. And that's what we bring to the table, those fundamental principles that entrepreneurs need to know about business. Number one, business is not a cash endeavor. And that's something our community does not know, that you do not run a business with cash, and definitely not your cash. It's an OPM endeavor, other people's money. And so before we start a business, we don't know as a community that you must fund it before you start it. So we take, and I share this with class today, that we take what Steve Harvey said so literal and so to heart, that when he said jump, that was as if we had gotten a license to be a business employee, a corporate employee on Friday, and an entrepreneur on Monday. And so many Black people jumped into business I've heard it so many times. Well, Steve Harvey said, yes, Steve Harvey said a whole lot of stuff that you better not use as gospel. So when he made that statement, and it fit for his life, but everybody took it to fit for theirs. And in the law of business, in the science, because business is measurable, business can be quantified, and there are results that can be tabulated from business. So it's a science. In the science of business, you don't ever jump in business. It is a planned and calculated endeavor that over a course of time, you've done particular things to determine if it has feasibility, capacity to be successful. When we jump into business, we find ourselves bootstrapping our personal income to run businesses. We find ourselves then bootstrapping our revenues to keep the business open. And in a short period of time, we find ourselves running all over town trying to find dollars. And so I'm sure you've met those people that they're in a 911 situation. And any day now, one little spark will set their whole house on fire and the business will come down in flames. Well, that's because we started without identifying the capital requirements for the business. We're in it now. We're so deep in it that we haven't determined how to turn it around, how to take that business entity that we've started and position it correctly so it can be fundable. And then what to do with business funds and how we are to manage business accounts and establish revenue and sales goals for our entity, that we know exactly what needs to come in the door every day the door is open. And then what to do with profit. because profit is never spent in business. Profit is always set aside. Profit is always leveraged to take on more assets, more opportunities, move the business further. So when we don't understand the science, the requirements, the processes, the systems, the structure of business, we run it like we do our home. And that gets us in trouble because what we do in business is polar opposite to what we do in our personal financial world. In your personal life, debt is bad. In your personal life, you do not use debt. Well, we should not use debt. If you can't pay cash for it, you shouldn't have it. And in our business world, you never spend cash. You use credit. And credit is the only tool for capitalism.
Mhm.
So we don't use cash in business, we use credit. Excuse me. So what we find is entrepreneurs running businesses like they run their personal lives. And in business is polar opposite than what you would do in your personal life. So you need credit in business. You never use cash and you never use your own. You leverage cash, which is a strategy our community has not been taught efficiently or effectively to maintain profit in the business. Without showing profit in the business, we are not considered fundable business entities. So we must teach our community what to do with revenue, what to do with profit, and how to manage cash in the business. These are basic elementary business principles that our community hasn't been taught. So again, the only thing that's destroying us is a lack of knowledge.
So if I may, so it's interesting that you say that because I have an opposite view of that. I am a fan of, the lean startup methodology, which is, minimal viable product and get it out there and see if people want it before you do put a lot of money into it or before you.
You're doing
I'm
a
sorry?
feasibility study.
That's feasibility. And
That's every
I will
business
say
you do.
that I partnered with a couple of people to start a business, and I'm still a little, upset about it because I do miss my money. But I thought that they had more industry experience than they had.
Wow.
And because of that, we put money into it and ended up losing a lot of money because they didn't have the industry experience. So it wasn't, and we ended up borrowing money for it as well. So I'm always nervous about suggesting that people do 100% OPM without knowing that they have a viable business model.
Yeah. Well, everyone should do a feasibility study. Everyone, but you don't have to do a feasibility study on your money. See, I started business with $350K of my own money.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, of your own money, to start a business. Yeah. Yes. But I'm talking about.
I had three businesses. I had 3 buildings going at the same time in my city. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't playing around with quarters and nickels and dimes. I was playing around with $100,000 transactions. And so that's a different type of business. So we're not teaching hobbies, hookups, and hustles. We're teaching business at a level that our community very rarely sees because we don't start prepared for that level of business. And what every entrepreneur should do is run their own feasibility study. That's totally different than starting a business. So that's part of the business process, but it is not running the business. When you're doing a feasibility study, you're actually vetting your own idea and you're quantifying the results. You're taking a subsample of what you're wanting to offer in the marketplace and you're validating its feasibility. And everyone, before they start a business, should be an expert in their industry, not business, the industry. We are experts in the gift or the talent or the ability we have, but we're not an expert in our industry. So one of the first things we do in our program, you know your numbers. You got to know what your industry is doing. And very soon we'll be partnering with IBIZ which will give every entrepreneur their own industry reports. We require that they do that every quarter. Why? You must be a student of business. You must be a student of your industry trends, past, present, and future. You must know what industry averages are, and you must know where your industry has been and is trying to go financially. That puts you in a different seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it hopefully will give everyone the opportunity to vet any business endeavor they get involved in making sure that entrepreneur knows business, not how to bake a cake, not how to do hair, not how to do nails, not how to sew, not how to do your gift, but that you know business. So we put everyone in the seat of a class to teach them business principles, business practices. And so when you do your feasibility, yes, you got your own skin in the game because you've got to evaluate your outcome, the potential viability of that endeavor. So every entrepreneur will have their own skin in the game. That's required. No lender's going to fund anything 100%. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got to come to the table with their own investment in their own, the level of investment that they're willing to make in their own success is the level of outcome they'll have in their own success. So we require that they do that necessary work. But once you've determined you've got something valid and viable, then you must position the company for funding because you will never grow. Mm-hmm. And another statistic that is extremely alarming, 96% prior to COVID, 96% of Black entrepreneurs employed absolutely no one in their business.
Yeah, we've talked about that here within 10K. Yes.
So we got
and because of that, it stifles us.
Well, we've had 2.4, minimum of 2.4 businesses in the marketplace and 2 million, 2.2 average unemployment rate. Mm-hmm. So if every Black entrepreneur had a viable business entity that understood how to employ people and the benefits of having employees in your organization, then we would have eradicated unemployment and poverty and crime in our community. Every ethnic group employs their own people. Mm-hmm. Every group has a community mindset. They build businesses to put their people to work. Mm-hmm. And they employ their people. Asians employ Asians, Hispanics, Middle Easterners, Jewish employ Jewish people. White people employ white people, but Black people do not employ anyone. And if that's solely because as an entrepreneur, we don't understand business at that level, and we haven't been taught how to create the right systems that would put the business model in a position to capitalize on leveraging other people's time, other people's energy, other people's resources, gifts, and talents in our business. And so we start businesses alone, which minimizes our profitability. On average, white businesses earn $25,000 to $28,000 more a year than Black businesses.
Oh, I heard it was more than that.
Similar industries across the board. So if you're a hairstylist, they're a hairstylist, their business will earn $28,000 to $35,000 more annually. Okay. Industry to industry.
Industry to industry. That makes sense. Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
So that's one the reason why we are solopreneur. We are labor-based solopreneur businesses. You're only able to produce so much in the 24 hours you're able to work. And when we function businesses from that perspective, we can't capitalize on other people producing revenue for the business. So we start out with these different mindsets of business, and we end up only hurting ourselves in the long run. Mm-hmm. Because if our businesses are closing at a higher rate, we're opening them at a faster rate, and we're closing them at a higher rate than any other ethnic group. It is solely because of the small things that we've not been taught in business when it comes to running it, funding it, and keeping it viable. There are There are basic strategies that most communities know, but ours haven't seemed to grasp a hold of. So the number is no longer businesses closing within 3 to 5 years. It is closing in 18 months, our community.
Mhm.
That's a huge financial disaster for their personal life and their business future. Because once that information gets out there on your business file and also on your personal credit file, it's very difficult to reverse the impact from not having a business that is viable, one that you've had to bootstrap and one that you've had to live off the revenues and one that you haven't been able to sustain. Those are things we want to make sure our community knows. So everything we do is strictly about education. We are an education and training organization, and we partner. Black Mastermind is the ecosystem for Black entrepreneurs. And then
Mhm.
we partner with our Business Mastery Institute, which is our education and training program. We partner with Bridge Builder Coach, which is a coaching and development, mentoring and development organization that actually works with the entrepreneur each and every week to make sure they understand the concepts and they understand how those concepts can be applied in their current business. We do startup to full growth and scale mode. We want to make sure that throughout the journey of an entrepreneur's life, they have all the resources necessary for them to be successful and to move from stability to sustainability, from sustainability to scaling. If we can keep our business community on that pathway, I say that growth is automatic.
Mhm. So
Success
how
is
do
automatic.
people find out about you? Is there a website? Where do people go?
Yes. Well, I got my fingers crossed. We took our website down to re-enhance it and to put it in a different domain. And it's been a full week challenge. So, ladies and gentlemen, after today, I got a promise from my IT team. Our website will be back up, but it's theblackmastermindgroup.com. We're also on Facebook. We are the National Black Mastermind Group, and we have communities of Black Mastermind groups that are opening across the nation solely to create education stations, education locations, coaching and mentoring development locations with funding initiatives so that no longer are we seeing the Black entrepreneurial community opening businesses and within 18 months, the business closed and
Mhm.
having the financial devastation of having a business close and ruining their personal credit from bootstrapping the business. It's now time for us to learn how to do business differently and create sustainable business models.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. Yes, there is a lot for people to know with regards to launching your business. However, I will also say it is not impossible. As somebody who has had a business between myself and my mother's business, whom I worked with her, um, 15 years now. I have not had a W-2. I've been in business for
Awesome.
15 years. So it is not impossible, but it does take systems and it does take strategy. And Dr. Danetta is absolutely right about that. And now she's causing me to think, well, most of you know, I've been reinvesting in my business so that I'm able to triple my business, because now I see that I've even been kind of, just me, and I don't want that anymore. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for being here with us
Yeah.
today. And, again, tell everybody one more time where they can find you.
Yes, we are the blackmastermindgroup.com is our website. And again, on Facebook, the National Black Mastermind Group. And can I say just one last thing before we are being funded through the state of Kansas? We're being funded through other entities that will provide the scholarships for our Black entrepreneurial community to get in a seat in a class. We're so excited about the partnerships that we're working out with different entities and states to where they pay $500 for every Black entrepreneur that wants to dig deeper in understanding business and create a viable, sustainable business model. They will put the dollars up. So we're wanting the word to get out across the nation that no longer do we have to guess about business and have different areas that we're not sure we're running the business correctly. We can teach you systems and strategies that are proven because our counterparts are using them and their businesses are sustainable. We want to teach you the very same strategies that they're using to create a business model that'll last and that will make an impact in your Black community by hiring people that look like you. So that is our mission as we move across the nation. You can go to our website, you can go to our Facebook page. We'll get you the information to we have a COVID study survey that we're doing. We're getting our own narrative about the impact of COVID on Black people and their Black businesses. And so we're using that information to help position our community to move further down the road. And then we put you on the waiting list. Whatever city or state you're in, we find the dollars to put you on the pathway to creating a legacy and wealth-based business model. So thank you for allowing me to get that out. I know it's a lot, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just so happy that you're able to take people across the nation. So everybody, thank you so much for being here this Friday. And I know I'm seeing so many people in YouTube and Facebook. Saying thank you so much as well. Dr. Danetta, we will definitely be in touch with you so we can work together, not only to help more businesses get funded, but also to help them grow. We want some billion-dollar unicorns within the 10K community and multi-million-dollar, projects and things like that. And we know that we can do it when we come together. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everybody.